Hello, this is a video that I didn't really want to shoot. It's an update of a video that I uploaded a month or so ago of my tomatoes and cucumbers growing in my greenhouse. I was hoping to show you some good progress, but given that we've had no summer weather to talk about here in the United Kingdom so far, and we're halfway through our summer months without actually stringing together 2 or 3 decent warm sunny days, what we've got on our hands here is a disaster. Watch the video from some time ago, come back to me, then we'll go in the greenhouse and we'll take a look at things as they are today. This is Marmande. Marmande is a favourite large fruited heirloom tomato, distinguished by its irregular scalloped red fruit with touches of pink. As you can see, Marmande has produced a flower. First flower of the year here at Homegrown Veg in the United Kingdom on our tomatoes. Right, let's move down the line. This is San Marzano, the classic Italian plum tomato, #1 cooking variety, perfect for making sauces with its meaty flesh and very few seeds, yielding large crops over a long period starting early in the season. This is Ace 55, an old favourite heirloom tomato with bright scarlet, thick-walled fruit that are moderately smooth and produced in abundance on a medium to large vine. This is a tomato called Shirley. Shirley is one of the most popular tomatoes grown in the United Kingdom. This is Heinz 1350. And it has to be said, probably the most sickly looking tomato plant in the greenhouse. Heinz 1350 is the perfect tomato for using in salads and making sauces, as it was traditionally intended to be used, producing high yields of uniform bright red 3-inch diameter fruits. This tomato is called Moneymaker. Moneymaker is a traditional United Kingdom greenhouse variety. This is another Shirley, so we have 2 Shirley tomato plants growing in the greenhouse. This is Roma. Roma is the ultimate mid-season tomato, producing beautifully red, perfectly flavoured 3-inch fruits. It grows vigorously on a vine. This is Tigerella, a distinctive tomato with its red fruits and quirky orange and yellow stripes. It's a very productive variety that produces high yields and provides a decorative alternative to standard varieties. And if I look in back there, we have a flower on Tigerella. This is a tomato called Red Cherry, and as its name implies, it's a cherry tomato, so we're expecting lots of small fruits on this particular variety, and it is the fastest growing tomato in the greenhouse at the moment. This tomato had me flummoxed in the early part of the year when I started these seeds. In fact, I didn't think it was a tomato at all, I thought it was a weed. And if you contrast the leaves on this particular variety with the leaves on the other varieties that you've looked at, it just looks different. It doesn't look like a tomato plant. But you have assured me that this is Brandywine Pink, and I'm going with that. Now Brandywine Pink is a very popular heirloom American beefsteak tomato. The large vines reliably produce heavy crops of pink fruit that can be 200 to 400 grams with excellent flavour. Wow, I'm looking forward to seeing the fruit on this particular variety. This is the last of this year's crop, and this is Golden Sunrise. And as its name implies, the tomatoes on this plant were golden in colour, and I'm expecting them to be between small to medium sized tomatoes. This is a variety I've never grown before. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed this greenhouse walk around. As you can see, we've got lots of stuff going on in here. Well, that was then, this is now. Come on, let's take a walk in the greenhouse. This is Marmande. Marmande's only standing about just over a foot tall. It's produced one tomato, and it looks stunted. I think that's the only way I could describe this this tomato plant. It looks stunted. This is San Marzano. San Marzano standing about 3 foot tall. It's got flowers on top, and it has set some fruit down below, but it doesn't look the healthiest of tomato plants. This is Ace 55. It's set some fruit, but again it's a very small plant. It's less than 2 foot tall, and it actually looks as though it wants a drink. But when I feel the soil in the bags, and I feel the sides of the bags, they are quite wet, they're moist. Could it be overwatering these, do you think? I don't know. I don't know what's gone wrong with them this year. But that plant should be at least 3 to 4 foot tall by now, but it isn't. And I don't know if it will make anything. But we are where we are. This is Shirley. Now Shirley's standing about 3 to 4 foot tall, so it's probably one of the tallest we've got in here, and it has set quite a lot of fruit. But they've been like that for some time. They don't seem to be swelling. But that's as good as it gets, I think, this year. Here at Homegrown Veg in the United Kingdom. Yeah, that's Shirley. This is Heinz 1350. It's quite spindly. It's only standing a couple of foot tall, and the leaves on there are, well, look at them. They're as much yellow as they are green. It's set some fruit. We've got some fruit, but that's another tomato plant that doesn't look very healthy. This is Moneymaker. I've stripped all the bottom leaves because they'd all turned yellow. And this plant stands about 3 to 4 foot tall. There has been some flowers on it. I don't think they've been pollinated, and I think that's possibly because we've had no bees or wasps or butterflies or any flying insects in the garden this year. None, absolutely none. And I think that's an indication of just how cold it is during the summer months here in the UK this year. And there isn't a single tomato showing on this plant. I'm probably going to lose that, to be honest. There were 2 cucumber plants at this end of the greenhouse and 1 tomato plant. I've lost both of those cucumber plants, which I've replaced with 1 cucumber plant that I got given, and this is the tomato that was there. It survived, and this is pink brandywine, and there are a few tomatoes on there and a few flowers up top here, but it just looks as though well, I don't know what it looks like, to be honest. I'm not overly impressed. I hope it can impress me before the year's out. That's pink brandywine, and it's standing about 3 foot tall at the moment, but it looks hangdog, to be honest. It just looks, it doesn't look healthy at all. This is my one and only surviving cucumber plant. It's called Green Finger, and it's described as a baby cucumber, and I think you'll agree. If you can see that, can you see that cucumber there? That's about as big as they get, as big as your finger. So that's my solitary cucumber plant, having lost 2 cucumber plants previously. This is another Shirley. It's looking quite healthy. It's standing about 3 foot tall. There are some very small fruit setting in the bottom here, and there are some flowers on top. So this particular tomato plant might make something. It might not, but we could really do with some warm weather. That's what we could do with some warm weather. This is Roma, and this is an example of a gardener's error. So we've got some fruit growing, but there's no growing tip in this plant. When I've been taking out side shoots, I must have, in error, taken out the growing tip. So that's as big as this plant's going to get, and it's probably under a foot tall, but it has set some fruit, and who knows, that fruit might swell, it might not. But that's Roma. This is Tigerella. It's standing about 2 foot tall. It doesn't look too happy, to be honest. It's got quite a bit of fruit set on there, but they're only small. I don't know if they'll swell or not, but we'll keep them going. Well, there's nothing we can do. It's too late in the season to replace these, so it is what it is. We'll just have to keep going and get what we get. And that's Tigerella. This is red cherry, and at one point this particular plant looked as though it might be a producer, but as you can see, I've stripped all the leaves off because they all died and withered. What caused that, I don't know. And it's about 3 foot tall, and it did look healthy for quite some time, and then it just went backwards. And what you can see is probably what I'm going to get. I'm not going to get much more of that thing. That's it, that's red cherry. Oh, blimey. This is another pink brandywine. There's quite a bit of fruit starting to set on this now. And it stands about 4 foot tall, and there are a lot of flowers on top of this plant, probably out of camera shot. But I've never grown this particular variety before, and by all accounts it grows really big tomatoes, but these guys are going to have to swell a bit. And it looks a bit limp. It doesn't look too healthy, but we'll keep it going. We'll get what we get, won't we? Yeah. So this is Golden Sunrise. It's standing about 3 foot tall. As you can see, there are some tomatoes developing low down here. I hope you can see that. There are quite a few on this plant actually. Now I'll get a closer look at it, and it looks about the healthiest plant in the greenhouse. So I think we're going to be finishing on a high with this Golden Sunrise. Yep, we're finishing on a high. We've got a Golden Sunrise that doesn't look too bad, but the rest of them, well, I wouldn't give you twopence for them. Even the dogs that are agreeing with me, I wouldn't give you twopence for them. Okay. So I hope your tomatoes are doing better than mine. But that's the way it goes in gardening, isn't it? Good years, bad years. I think this is going to be a bad year for me, growing tomatoes. But hey, let's hope we get some more successes outdoors in the raised beds and in the buckets. Hope you've enjoyed this update. This is Homegrown Veg, signing out.